Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dropped Frames 104, 103, 104.
Cool.
I don't know.
Sounds good.
We're on an
Who's counting?
episode. It's on an
117.
episode. Yeah. I saw that the Co-optional podcast is on 189. We need to surpass them. We got to keep up the pace. We got to surpass the Co-optional podcast. That's a random tidbit, but I was looking into iTunes yesterday and saw that they're on iTunes and they have 189. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each episode, and that's going to be 2 different MP3s. So then we'll surpass them in about 3 months, 4 months, something like that. It'll be great.
Game plan.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. It's been a busy week, so to speak, especially with last couple of weeks. We're what, 2 weeks away from E3? 3 weeks? 2 weeks? Are we really that close?
Let's see.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
June 10th is when I leave.
Jesus fucking. We'll have our pre-E3 show on the 7th, so 2 episodes from now. That seems way too soon. So that stuff is starting to leak a little bit. We've got Friday the 13th, which we'll be talking about first. That went out this morning for streamers. That I think goes live for everyone on Friday. I'm not sure what time that is. And then Sacriel over here decided to start a Kickstarter on Monday. When was
3 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, it seems like
On the third day.
Seems like it's everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. Seems like I've been hearing about that for a while. And then there's just more. The Destiny 2 started last Thursday, and that's kind of a talking, like, man. We got some words to say about Destiny 2. I don't know. There's a lot. But let's start with Friday the 13th because that's what's new and fresh today. And then we'll jump in and let Sacriel talk about his breaking point and give us that pitch. And then we'll talk about the Kickstarter a little bit. But Friday the 13th went live. I haven't touched it yet. I'm really nervous too because I know it seems like there's a lot to do in that game and a lot to understand in that game before you actually can do anything in that game.
Yeah, sort of. There is.
Can you just run around and be an idiot and still have fun, Zeke?
Here's the thing
Okay.
that might turn away new players like me. It really, really made me salty. However, I will make an addendum after I say what made me really salty was there was 3 matches in a row where I was the first one killed, and the 2 of those were within 1 minute of starting to play.
Okay.
Like, I started to play, and within 1 fucking minute, Jason was on top of me and killed me. Like, I didn't even have a chance to grab any, like, defense or anything like that. He was on fucking top of me, and I was toast. So that really sucked. However, you can be jumped back into the game if someone gets to a radio and calls Tommy Jarvis.
So were you Tommy Jarvis then?
Yeah, I was Tommy Jarvis a couple of times.
Okay.
Because I got killed first. It makes you really salty right away. But if someone gets to a radio, because someone actually in the game has to go to the radio, call on the radio Tommy Jarvis, and Tommy Jarvis will come back in as a dead player. So whoever is dead, they randomizes from that list, and they come back as Tommy Jarvis.
Okay.
But I will say, like, being killed right away and then not becoming, or they don't call Tommy Jarvis or anything like that, you, like, if you're in a private match, a group of people, you're sitting there for up to, like, 20 minutes, like, doing nothing, just watching and spectating. And that's part of the game. I mean, if you get unlucky or you suck, then that's what happens, I suppose. But it really fucking, like, I was like, okay, waited my 15 minutes, ready for another game. Spawn right by the boathouse, which is like one of the escape like methods. You fix the boat and get out.
Yeah.
Spawn right by the boathouse, and that's a good spot for Jason to appear. And lo and behold, Jason appears and fucking offs me in like 30, 45 seconds. And now I'm stuck here like, I hope somebody calls Tommy Jarvis, or else I'm going to have to wait another fucking 15, 20 minutes before another game starts with my group of friends.
Huh.
Yeah.
Can you hear the voices of people when you're dead?
You can hear when you're dead, you hear only dead people.
Oh, is there a game reason for that, or they just don't have it? Like, is there a way that someone could benefit from that? Is that why they have it turned off? So you can't like hear the proximity chat of the game?
I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't allow you to hear the in-game chatter, because I would love to.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool part, right?
Yeah, you think that? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a full spectator system, so I think they don't want when you die, you can not only spectate all the survivors, but you can also spectate Jason and look through cameras and stuff. So I think the fact they kind of wanted the people that died to be able to talk to each other clearly. If you could hear the other players, but they couldn't hear you, that would be kind of weird. Then you'd be talking over each other and it just get messy.
Okay,
you know, so.
that makes there it is. That makes sense.
But I will say some hilarious discussions are when there's like 4 dead people and 3 alive people in Jason, because then everyone's like, hey, watch this guy. Oh, he's about to get killed. Like it very much becomes like an MST3K kind of situation where you're just watching what's going on and everyone's kind of just talking about it. So it's the spectator system in this one is good. It's really solid. And I definitely ran into Zeke's issue once, and it definitely numbs the pain of dying first a little bit when you can kind of watch everyone and scroll around and you know who you're playing with and they're all streaming too. So it becomes pretty fun.
So we spent. Go ahead, Sacriel.
I was going to say, is it normal to die in the first minute? Or are you making a mistake where someone could say, hey, like you did this and that's how he knew you were there, and if you didn't do that, like your average person would last longer? Or is it just if he teleports to you or comes to you and just luckily bumps into you, you're done?
With a good Jason will kill somebody within the first couple of minutes, because there's spawn points. There's like people will go to houses, and there's only so many houses around. So, and you start off with 8 counselors and 1 Jason, and there's probably how many houses would you say? How many like structures that you go inside of would you say there are? Like 20?
Oh, yeah, usually between like 15 and 20 per map.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you got a 50-50 shot of teleporting right to a place where someone is.
Right.
And Jason is pretty unstoppable immediately, because you can't, if you haven't had a chance to loot very much, there's not a good chance that you'll have a flare, firecrackers, the pocket knife.
Could you just spawn off in the wilderness, and then there's no chance he'd bump into you, because he's not just going to spawn in the wilderness, he's going to spawn at a building. Is that something you can do?
They're basically, Jason is designed to be overpowered in many different ways, but there's also some gotchas. So for instance, when you're playing Jason, and if you look at Zeke's picture right now, you see these white circles. That's if anyone is running, walking, sprinting, and you're close enough to doing it. Now, players can crouch down, they can walk, they can go really, really slow. But if you also notice in that picture how the players were glowing red, Jason has an ability that lets him see players in a wide radius around him, but he has to be close to them. Now, the biggest issue we see from people is when you're playing Jason, if there's like 1 Jason left and 1 other player, and that player is sneaking around, that's going to be a pretty boring game. Because at that point, Jason just has to run around the map. He has to use his vision as much as he can. He has to warp as much as he can to try to cover as much area. And those situations get a little weak. But if all 3 of Jason's abilities are up, and each Jason has different abilities, to be clear. We're talking about some of the ones that are available early. If his 3 abilities are up, he can warp to someplace on the map. He can hit another ability to immediately see all the players around him clear as day. And then his 3rd ability turns him ethereal, makes him go super, super fast for a decent distance. And if he just right-clicks at any point, he pops out of ethereal, and another right-click instant kills a person by grabbing them.
Oh, wow.
So it becomes a little strong. And then his 4th ability, the way that players really know, and there's that zoom ability. The way that players really know that Jason's around is when the music starts amping up. It gets super, super loud. And the music starts when Jason's pretty far away, so it gives you a good chance to get around. His 4th ability mutes the music.
Oh.
So,
stealth Jason.
Yeah. So it becomes pretty much unstoppable. Now, one nice thing is Jason moves a lot slower, even when dodging the...
Before you move on, did you talk about the radio?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, that's what you just saw is if one of the counselors turns on a radio in a cabin, it puts out a sound signal that looks just like a counselor that's running. So it's a decoy, basically. And then Jason will run to that, and I saw it, and you can as Jason, you can fucking destroy the radio so it won't distract you again. Or, I mean, it won't decoy you again.
Right.
But it doesn't move, right? So wouldn't he just look at it and go, that's not moving. That's the radio.
Well, no, because the sound pings are static. So if a player is running in a straight line in front of you, you'll see like a ping in the back, and then you'll see a second ping there.
Yeah.
And when the radio plays, because it's so far off, a lot of times you'll see the ping, and you only really generally get one ping before the player kind of goes off the radar a little bit. Like it doesn't just ping over and over and over and over. They only ping once every so often. So what a lot of people will do is when the radio gets turned on, Jason gets a ping. Jason then blows his warp to get over there.
Yeah.
And that can very much save someone. If Jason's chasing someone at the time, he may warp off and then try to get that. So it can easily fool them. But going into what Zeke was talking about, there's actually, and this is one of the big things with the new release, they have added in tons of ways to influence the fight in little ways. They've given survivors a lot more tricks for surviving. Another way, for instance, is if a survivor puts down a firecracker, if Jason gets near it, not only does he get stunned, but if he's not near it, he gets a sound ping because they're firecrackers. You can now shoot the flare gun into Jason's face, and it will kind of blind him a little bit and stun him.
I think I saw Bikey do that. There was like a gap or something with police sirens blaring through, and Jason was stood in front of it with a spear or something, and Bikey ran up and threw firecrackers down. Jason like did this, and then Bikey ran around and obviously made his sound.
Yep. Oh
and
yeah.
then shot out the door, and he escaped. It was pretty cool.
And that kind of goes into the gameplay loop. There's 3 ways you can escape. You can repair a phone and call the cops, and then 5 minutes later, you can run your character out of the zone. There's also cars. Cars require batteries, fuel, and someone that has keys, and then you have to actually get the car out, and Jason has all sorts of tricks to prevent that. And there's also now boats. So you can repair a boat and then kind of boat your way out. I've heard that right now, if you get the boat repaired and you get in it, you're pretty much good to go. But there are some Jasons that unlock later that have like swimming buffs and stuff. And some people are saying that may really screw up.
Oh, that'll be
like
so cool.
So that's not unlocked yet. You can't even play some of these higher tier Jasons?
Well, now this goes into the next part of the game, which is the progression system. There is a thorough progression system in this game. Not only do you have an overall level, which unlocks new Jasons and new counselors and everything, but there's also, you gain this currency that you then spend on perks. Perks are randomized and have a random positive and negative variable, and then a rarity associated with the perk. So you can get perks that have like different levels of advantages of disadvantages, and then the perk itself, like what that thing actually does, has a rarity level associated with it. So today, like everyone was rolling perks pretty much every couple rounds, and some of them were really rare. Like I think only one of us got 1 gold, and there's 2 more rarities after that. And and that was in almost 3 hours of playing. So
there's a bit of min-maxing around your character. Like if you can take a Jason with a certain skill set and then augment his skill set with different abilities and penalties to try and like make a spec.
I should have been a little bit clear. The randomized perks are actually counselor only. What Jason unlocks is different ways to kill people.
Just like visual animation, the kind of thing.
Yes, but what's kind of weird is when Jason has a swing and he usually has a weapon of some kind, and you can just keep swinging at enemies or at survivors and they will die, or you can grab them. And when you grab a player, that's when it gets a little bit interesting, because depending on what fatalities you've unlocked and what fatalities you have equipped, because not only do you unlock fatalities, but you have to actually put them on your Jason, then how long you have to wait while holding them and where you have to be changes.
So like when you pin them to a wall and stuff.
Exactly. When you grab someone, Jason can move a little bit, but the survivor also has a chance to break free if they slam on their E key. So if Jason has enough time to move them next to an environmental feature, like a wall, then he'll one-punch man them right into the wall and shatter their head to 1,000 pieces. If he brings them near a fireplace, he will hold them in the fire, and all sorts of horrible things. But if you're just out in the open, then your equipped fatalities are what come into play, and those trigger at different times, and they last different lengths, which kind of dictate their power, like how quickly Jason can get back into the game and start killing other people, and stuff like that is in there. But all of them are brutal, and holy shit, man! Like some of them are kind of hard to watch the first time.
I've seen like 4 or 5. The door slam one was where I was just like, that's pretty brutal. He takes someone, forces them down on the ground, and then takes the door and just starts jamming the door over and over on their head until it basically just turns into mush. And then he just like walks off. He's like, time to go find someone else to kill.
It's stupendous. It's great. I love it. I love that they kept like all of the ridiculous brutal kills. I mean, if I were to, give it a positive in this category, I will say they kept the tone of Friday the 13th with the kills for sure. The one where they put like the counselor's backs to a tree, and Jason is behind and grabs their arms and pulls them back against the tree and pulls their arms off.
Oh shit! I haven't seen that one at all.
It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. And I also saw the classic sleeping bag kill where he drags someone out of a tent and slams them against a tree. It was pretty fucking great.
Jesus.
Would you hide? You can hide in tents.
What's up?
Why would you be in a tent? Is that a hiding place? Or?
You can hide in under beds. You can hide, and if you're hiding, then Jason doesn't get all the normal pings he gets from you. But if he catches you in the place, he can do like an environmental.
It's just like a funny kill. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the worst one for me so far, dude. There's one of them where he just kicks their knee out, so they're on their knees, and then you just see them put their hand on their face and tilt their head up. And I don't know which Jason it was. He had some kind of long. It looked like a fire poker, and he just like right down the mouth, just. And the entire time, the guy's like wiggling and trying to get free.
Oh,
God, dude. Yeah.
Jeez.
And then what's even crazier is when the dude flops over, he still sits there moving around for like a good 10 seconds before he's like,
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Woo.
Some questions from the chat. Someone's asking, are they dedicated servers? Is it peer-to-peer? How is the server hosting working? At least when it comes to the custom games, because I assume that's what everyone's been playing, not the public stuff yet.
Yes, the way we heard it today is private games are peer-to-peer and quick play public games are dedicated. I have not confirmed that, however.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the kind of game that would suffer from netcode issues.
Most pings that I saw were like when I joined a game last night. Granted, it was at 4 or 5 a.m., so it's probably a European server. It was like 240 ping, but it didn't really seem to affect too much in game. Yeah, for Ko and Zeke, like ping wise, is it beneficial to have a low ping in this game? Will you? Not really. It's not that type of game.
I don't know, honestly.
It seems more like
I
a
had the
strategy
highest.
game.
I had the highest ping of anybody there, and it was fine for me.
What do you know what it was?
It's not too bad unless you start doing like really kind of techie juking right in front of Jason, which ping can influence and you can lag out. But it never got too bad. It never seemed too bad in this one. That P2P stuff is why I stopped playing Dead by Daylight, which is this game's biggest competitor. So hopefully it won't. But again, a thing to remember though is this game is barely like it's only in early access and only streamers can play it right now. So it's going to be different when thousands and thousands of players are playing it. And considering there was 80K plus watching it today on Twitch, this is probably going to sell pretty well.
Yeah, I really wonder, and I was talking to Ko about well, you just found your twin. I was talking to Ko about this earlier before we jumped on the show. I wonder what the public experience will be like. When I say public, I mean the public server experience. Because last night, hopping on at 4 a.m. into a random game, the first thing that happened was, hey, you, something I'm not going to repeat on the cast. Do you have a microphone? And then when I didn't respond, get the fuck out of my game, you fucking blah, 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 blah. And it was like, oh, okay. Well, the internet still exists, unfortunately. So I don't know how much fun this will be for people that are just casually playing without friends. So...
As a broadcaster, can you just mute people? Can you bring up like the playlist and be like mute and just like stop people being abusive? Okay, that's good.
That's good.
I think more games need the whole like, don't let me play with this person again. And when that person pisses off enough people, they'll end up like clicking queue, and it's like trying to find people that you haven't pissed off yet.
Yeah, Dota does
like
a
10
pretty
minutes.
good job of that. They have like low priority stuff where all of the shitheads go with all the shitheads, and then those games you're actually in hell. You're sent to like the place where Hitler arrived, and there's just a bunch of little mini Hitlers running around to being nuisances and trying to out Hitler everyone else.
That
So
place
it's
must be so bad.
yeah, that type of stuff. But you need a large enough player base for that, right? Like you can't introduce a system that's immediately going to split your player base off at the start of a game. That's over, I think, like a year or two before the community can really build upon itself. But in terms of what was actually like, I think Ko, you touched on this a little bit, but what are some of the other new things that they've introduced since the last time you guys played this, for the better and for possibly the worse?
A lot of feedback. A lot of feedback from players, it looks like has been implemented. So Jason has some range attacks now. His cooldowns were reworked a little bit. There's more items in the world to interact with. The radio now has a much more tangible effect. Firecrackers do a lot more. The flare gun now operates like basically back in the like beta, I guess, whatever it was.
Yeah,
a lot of people were asking for a lot of things, and they implemented a lot of that stuff. They changed the way the music works a little bit. They changed the way that window jumping works a little bit. They changed just a lot of little touches and a lot of little things. The perk system was added. That was big. That really wasn't in the first one at all. They added more characters. They added more maps. There's 2 new maps now as well, or I think 1 more map from last one. And yeah, Just a lot of little changes, a lot of player feedback added.
What stops you doing the infinite juke that seemed to ruin Dead by Daylight? Like, can you jump through a window and then Jason comes outside and you jump back in and he goes back inside and you jump out again? Or is there any kind of cooldown on how you can jump through windows, or is it a big stamina cost you run out of?
What's nice about this game is almost all the stuff like that has little gotchas. So first of all, there's the global stamina value that keeps going down. When a player gets out of stamina, they stop moving quickly, just period. They start walking, and they do everything slower, including going through windows. Another big thing, and this is huge, is first of all, Jason can destroy doors. So players just can they can completely obliterate doors, and then he can also break windows. And when Jason breaks a window, it puts sharp glass around all of it. And every time the player jumps through a broken window, even if slowly, it does damage to them. So if they keep trying to do it back and forth, they will eventually get to a point where they just can't. They don't have enough strength to go back through the window.
Oh, cool. Okay, nice. Because that seemed to not get fixed in Dead by Daylight for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
The infinite jukes thing. I saw a lot of streamers griping about that a lot.
Co, what does the darkening of the edges mean? Is that low stamina? Does that mean he's near? What does that signify?
That is the fear system. And every counselor has a variety of stats. And those stats dictate how easily they can repair stuff, how much stamina they have, and their composure, which is how quickly they get scared. If Jason's nearby, if they're sprinting, if you have a flashlight, if you turn your flashlight off for a long period of time, which I always forget to turn it on, all sorts of things can contribute to your fear. In this case, I had just been being chased by Jason a bunch of times. So, and as Jason chases you, you can get so much fear that, as if you notice, my HUD is missing. So I don't even know how much stamina I have left. I don't have a map to look at.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I'm so freaked out at this point, and I've tunneled. So that's basically what you're looking at, is the fear system.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Which is yet another system, by the way, to prevent a player from staying in one place and doing, all sorts of techie shit to avoid Jason.
Gotcha. Seems, I don't know, it seems good. I feel like there is definitely a sense of I need to find someone else to share this stress with in the game. Like walking around on your own can be terrifying, because you don't have anyone to relieve that stress with. That sounds oddly, but like sharing it is what I'm saying.
And I think, JP, your experience last night really spoke to this. One big thing this game kind of needs right now is it needs an easier way to introduce new players. There's not really a good tutorial, and it's very easy if you aren't playing with friends or people that know how to play the game. It's very easy to not know what should I be doing right now. Like, what is my current goal?
Yeah.
There is an objective thing you can bring up that says everything you can do and what's been done, which is kind of useful. But again, if you're not quite sure how the whole process works, if you don't know how to repair a car, if you don't know how to get a fuse to fix the phone, to call the cops, to get the timer going, then it can get a little bit lost. However, on the flip side, it is pretty basic what you have to do, and once you learn it, then it's pretty intuitive, and you can kind of hit the ground running at that point.
Okay. Someone in chat said to watch this kill, so we'll leave it up here for a bit. What was that, Sacrio?
Oh God.
I was just gonna say, like, if you do go into once you're dead, is there any reason you shouldn't just exit that lobby and just play another game?
The one small thing is what Zeke addressed earlier. If players have died and someone in the game calls Tommy Jarvis, then one of the dead players gets selected to come in as a character. And then not only does he come in with a shotgun, which is one of the only instant stun items for Jason, but the character himself is extremely well statted. So and that person can sometimes swing the round. Like we had a Tommy Jarvis come in that basically messed with Jason while the 4 survivors repaired a car and left. And then once everyone got out, the guy playing was like, Tommy Jarvis has done his duty. It was freaking fantastic. But it was.
Other than the chance to play Tommy Jarvis, if you leave, do you lose points or that kind of stuff? Because I'm just thinking, if it's your first time playing and you have that Zeke experience, you play, you die in 30 seconds, you watch a 20-minute round play out. Your next round, you go in, you haven't really learned anything. You play for 30 seconds, you die. If you get like 3 minutes of gameplay out of an hour, that's a quick way to lose a player base. If there's no tutorial system.
For sure. And there's no. I don't think there's any type of punishment system in the game yet. And I'm not sure if that's something that they're doing. But thankfully, I've pretty much only done custom games so far. So for us, if we die, then it's, hey, let's watch all my friends die. Yeah. So that's pretty good. But in a public setting, I'm sure that would be an issue.
You get at the end of a round, you get 500 points, whatever they call them. You get 500 points for completing the round. So I'm sure you don't get those if you duck out.
So if you just duck out, then you get nothing. You join a game, you lose. You duck out, you get nothing. I'm sure that's going to be a bit of a weird feel for a game. So I wonder if that's something they should address. Like if you die in a certain way, it would be nice if it said like, you died from blah. Try doing blah. Just even a one-liner tooltip where you go, oh, I didn't know I could have locked the door, God, or I didn't know I could jump out the window or whatever. Like it would be clever if the developer had like analyzed how you died and then gave you even a one-liner on this is how you died. Try this next time, and at least it gives you that extra thing to try next time, right? But yeah, it was a game that I've seen a bunch of you play, but I never thought I'd play it myself. But listening to you talk about it and seeing you guys play today, you Bikey and Zeke and Katie Rue and a bunch of you, it actually looked pretty cool, so I might pick it up.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm kind of worried about. The longevity of the game seems really good in custom games, but my drive-by experience of 5 minutes last night at a public match was the internet. So I think it would be in their favor to sell this game in like a party pack situation where you can, much like they did with like Borderlands back in the day, where that game kind of sucks to play by yourself. It's so much more fun if you have friends. Seems like that's kind of the same thing here, where if they sold like a 4-pack or a 2-pack or something like that, would definitely be a lot more fun.
Or maybe gave you like a big point boost, like 30% more points if you play in a party.
Yeah.
And it can detect if you're playing with Twitch, if you're playing with Steam friends. So it really encourages people to go, come on, dude, try it. Come on, we get more points. And then 2 or 3 people try it together.
Totally.
And then they're way more likely to cement a feeling for the game. Like you say, if you just go pub games, you're going to get the internet.
Can you take 2 people, and maybe you guys don't know because you haven't played pub games, but can you queue as 2 people into a public game? Do you know if there's like a party system? Okay, there is.
Yeah, there's a total party system you can set up outside and then queue up as. Yeah.
Okay.
Looked good as far as I saw. We can do it, but
here's a little bit of the customization stuff that we haven't gotten a chance at. So is this your girl? Is this who you play as?
This
Vanessa
this
Jones?
is one of the counselors. So that is one of the perks that I rolled there. If you see, they also have pants, shoes, and a jacket. And as you level that counselor, there's like 10 plus different items you can unlock for each slot. So there's a lot of customization visually. And then the perk system, I don't know if I actually rolled one there, but it basically just randomly picks a perk and then assigns the positive and negatives. It then slots it in your kind of bank that you can pick, and you can use 3 at a time, or you can then sell that perk if it sucks for any reason, which I did a couple of, to then get the currency back to potentially make better ones.
So when you say negative like aspects of it, is that like you might get a perk that allows you to do something additional, but it says minus 20 stamina. So you're like, oh, okay, I can do an extra thing, but I can't run as far. Is it just statistical stuff, or is it a perk like you can jump through windows now, but you can't drive a car? Does it change functionality, or is it just stat changes?
Didn't see anything that heavy. The perk itself has a perk associated to it. So like for instance, one of the perks I rolled adds extra chance to stun Jason if using an axe. That was the perk. Okay. And then the randomized positive variable was the chance, and it got like 11%. Mm-hmm. And then the random negative variable was sprint speed minus 3%.
Okay.
So it's that kind of stuff. It just kind of slightly affects your character.
Cool.
One thing they definitely need to be wary of is the one thing I think a lot of killer players in Dead by Daylight found was once they added the ability to queue into 4 people, if you balance a game around like a bunch of randoms barely communicating versus a bunch of predetermined people with specific specs, all on Discord, all super try hard, that can be 2 vastly different experiences for the Jason. So I do hope they address some kind of like casual queue where you have to be solo, and some kind of try hard queue where you go in expecting to be against pre-mades, but maybe Jason gets some kind of benefit. Because I remember there was a bunch of crazy specs you could do in Dead by Daylight where everyone in the group would be the guy that can break the hooks, and then within 30 seconds of the round starting, all of his hooks are gone and they can't lose. And it's just like, well, you don't get that kind of bad gameplay if you're in a random queue, but if you've got 4 pre-mades, then you start to get these wacky builds that ruin the experience.
Well, I think it's you start out in a pretty separated, so teaming up is a little bit more difficult, I would say. Because you can't well, shit. You can communicate to each other if you're on Discord, not using the in-game chat.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
Actually,
There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of potential in this game for teaming. Particularly, there are some characters that scout very quickly. There's others that are a lot better at dealing with Jason. They have very high composure. And then most importantly, there are some characters that not only have an easier time repairing things, but do it much, much quicker. So one of the things that we ended up doing is there's a couple. Oh man, what a shot!
That was a great shot. Yeah.
Was that the itmeJP?
That was
Yeah,
Baru.
nice.
Baru.
Is he
Baru
dead or is that just a
Yeah.
stun?
No, that's a if you can fire a flare at Jason. If it hits his body and bounces off, it stuns him. If you hit him in the face, it sticks, and then it messes with his vision, and I think he's stunned a little bit longer.
What?
It's pretty cool. But oh man, what were we talking about again? I totally
Perks and teaming.
Oh yeah.
Teaming.
So what we would do, for instance, is when we're repairing a car, the person that has very low stamina and low composure, but was really good at repair, would kind of hang by the car, and then people would bring her parts, and then she would kind of put them in because she does it so much quicker. So you kind of get this weird synergy where people are kind of balancing out their stats, and I have a feeling when min-maxers get their hands on that, that we're going to start seeing like really crazy pre-mades.
Like speed
One
runs,
repair person and like a bunch of sprinters to go get parts, and they're coordinating and stuff. But what's kind of cool is in game, if you talk, it's a radius around you. And there's two important things about this. One, the other players can't hear you unless they're in your radius. And two, Jason can hear the players. So
Oh, wow.
What's
Okay.
cool, though, is you can find walkie-talkies. And every player that has a walkie-talkie, when you talk, every other player with a walkie-talkie hears you. So what happened a couple times today, actually, is a player would be like coordinating with another player over walkie-talkies, and Jason would be sitting there listening to him. So like I was watching a Jason when he ran up on a guy, he was going to kill them, but then the dude said, "Okay, so all you guys need is the keys. I'll be there in a second." And then the Jason immediately opened his map. There was a boat and a car. He teleported to the car. Like 3 players were just standing around it, and he just started.
Oh,
tearing.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So-
Yeah, that's
pretty fun.
That's the type of thing I've been watching a lot of Lyric, and like he'll do the thing where he'll go up on someone and be like, "Hey guys, it's Lyric, let me in," and then he's fucking Jason. No one's fallen for it yet, but I feel like that's gonna work eventually, and it's gonna be really cool.
Well, JP, there's a problem with that. When Lyric is sitting there saying,
Yeah,
"Let me
I
in,
know.
let me in," everyone else is hearing, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." So, I mean, like, it's going to become very obvious very quick that that's Jason.
True. You're totally right. You're totally right. But
what'd be
eventually,
cool is-
for the noob like me, it's going to catch me and be like, "Oh, hey, Lyric's outside, guys. Let's open this door and let him." Oh, fuck. And then it's Jason right in my face. Yeah.
It'd be cool if you could like drop a radio in a house and leave it on the floor and then run out and then be like, "Hey, I'm looking for car parts over here." And Jason
Right.
hears a radio and he might spend time beating the door in or whatever, but he's just been juked by a radio play. That'd be pretty sweet.
That's like classic horror, too,
Definitely.
right? Like
That's some misdirection.
Yeah.
that's happened in the movies for
Misdirection,
sure. The other thing I've seen popped up a lot in chat is the $40 price point on Friday. How do you guys feel about that? We all got it for free, so you got to keep that in mind. But I think we can give, in terms of the actual content in the game, like, is $40 too much? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I'm
I-
going to go
I-
ahead and say yes. I'm
I
going
haven't
to
played
go
it,
ahead
but
and say
I think maybe, yeah.
$40
40
is a
bucks.
lot.
40 bucks is too much for what it is right now. And I understand why they have to do that. Is because they have to license Friday the 13th. I'm sure
What-
they have to pay for that.
Wasn't this game
And
kickstarted for that,
I'm sure
though?
they don't have a choice.
Yes, it was kickstarted. And they're actually, to their credit, they're working hard to make sure the Kickstarter guys get all their benefits. They actually had to mess with their development cycle a bit to do that, but that was cool of them at least.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
raised 823,000 with a goal of 700,000.
I have to admit, when I played the beta of this, I was under the impression that the official release would have like 6+ maps and multiple potential game modes. I was a little disappointed when I heard it was going to be $40 for 3 maps and 1 game mode. Now, the good news is that this is one of those games where if you like this kind of thing, you could potentially pour in hundreds of hours if you follow all the progression paths. Each character can be taken to 90. Just to give you an
Holy
idea.
fuck. Okay.
That's a lot of
And
grinding.
then there's multiple Jasons, and then each of those Jasons has their own unlocks too. There's a lot of stuff, but you're going to be doing the same thing over and over to get all that stuff. That's the part that kind of sucks.
So put that
So
into
the metagame's
perspective.
there, but there's
What was your level when you quit this morning to put what level 90 would potentially take to reach, or even Zeke as well, if you guys know the
I got to
level.
level, like, having not played and played for 3-something hours, I got to level 6 today.
Okay.
And then what's weird is, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure that each character has some kind of level associated with them, and they may not, but if you mouse over their cosmetic unlocks, it says they all unlock at different levels too. So I don't know if it's just like an overall level. So if you get level 90, you unlock every cosmetic on every character kind of thing, which it might be. And if someone in chat could help us with that, like, I'd love to know what the real answer to that is.
Also,
and while we're chatting, Sacriel, take a look at this. What this is, you're about to see the only like real way to dance with Jason. You know, the juke or whatever, the infinite juke.
Yeah.
This is a great juking situation. They're in the barn. She has put a bear trap in front of. See, he got caught in it.
Yeah.
And he put a bear trap in front of that, and then he goes around to get her. She jumps back in the window, and puts the bear trap again, and you'll see what happens.
Oh, I see. Okay. I like that he jogs like a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't run, but he can teleport and he can do the real fast sneak thing. See, there's
by the time he's walked around. Couldn't he just break the window though when she jumps out?
Yes, he definitely could have. Yeah, he's a throwing knife.
Yeah, he's got. He doesn't have them to start with, but there's throwing knives all over the level, and Jason can walk up and pull them out of things. And
okay, like kitchens and stuff. Okay, that's pretty rad.
Oh my god, this is so ridiculous.
The Jason I picked started with 5 throwing knives.
Holy shit.
Cool. Did he? Okay, mine started with 5 traps, which you can also set now. Jason now has traps.
What am I watching?
Oh, this was so funny when they were doing this because this is I don't remember. It says the spectator.
Jen Denise, and I don't know who I think that's Baru.
Jen Denise, and I think that's Baru that she's facing. And what's going on here is Baru. Oh, I remember this part. Okay,
running out the
Baru was window juking, but here's the thing: Jen didn't know she could break the window. So Baru was juking the window back and forth, and all Jen had to do was go outside and swing at it, and that would have broken it, and Baru could not have bounced back. Like if you go out right now and see, like she should have walked around like she is right now and just swung once at the window, and that would have invalidated what you're about to watch. Now, unfortunately, there's a global timer in the top left, and when that global timer hits 0, any player that's still in the game wins. So unfortunately, because she didn't know about the window thing, she was not able to kill him. But if she had broken that window, then when Baru would have jumped through it, he would have gotten it into an injury state, which makes him slower. And if he does it again, it makes him like hobbling. It's not even barely a walk.
It's surprising to me that there's not like a pop-up that says like break window or something like that when they approach it.
When you aim at it.
Yeah.
There is.
I think that would make the game a bit too simple. Like if everything was hand-fed to you like that.
Yeah. You
also,
can go either
real
way.
quick, just to get the info out there, it does look like your global level is what does your unlocks on your character's cosmetics. So you would not have to level each character individually, just your global level, and then theoretically, from the looks of it, that would unlock everything.
I wonder if it's exponential difficulty though, like with like in WoW. So like level 1 is like 10 minutes, level 2 is 30 minutes, level 3, and by the time you're doing level 50 to 51, it's like 3 hours. I wonder if it's kind of
I don't know.
curved.
I don't know. Well, when I get into it tonight, I'll try to find out.
Yeah, I might give it a blast.
What's the deal with his mom's head? Can you kill Jason now? I saw a couple people wearing the sweater and like standing next to the head, but I didn't see Bikeman kill Jason when he was attempting.
Yeah, I was watching that bit with Bikeman. Yeah, he had a sweater on or something, and he was trying to kill Jason.
So what you can do now is you can run into Jason's home, and there's a.
Is that randomized?
It's always been the sweater so far, but Bikeman is convinced that it's different items for different Jasons.
Oh no! I mean, is Jason's house randomized?
I don't think so. I think it's in the same place on each map, but I'm not sure. Okay. And the sweater. Okay, here comes my embarrassing little thing here. I have not seen a single Jason movie. I have not seen a single one. However,
I've maybe seen one when I was like 15.
There's a sweater in one of the Jasons that's very big, and apparently like one of the characters wears this sweater and totally flips Jason out because it's his mom's sweater or something. So what you can do in this is you can go to where Jason's house is. There's a sweater on the altar next to his dead mother, and whoever gets it, if Jason gets near him or is grabbed him, so Jason could just be about to kill someone. If that person wearing the sweater hits Q, then the mom's voice comes up, and she's like, Jason, come home to mommy. And you see Jason like start doing this crazy shit. He drops and stops whatever he's doing. It's a one-time use though. So good luck after that.
That's
and
cool.
Jason's powers are up, and you're pretty much screwed anyway. But yeah.
It's actually a really cool effect. You press it, and Jason, like depending on what weapon he has, like if he has the axe, you'll hear the mother's voice, and you'll see his axe come up in the air. and then just like shudder down to the ground.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat effect. However, we are still in a quandary whether you can actually kill Jason or not, giving the right combination of things. Like, you have to get his mom's sweater, you have to knock his mask off, and then you have to kill him. Like, you have to have someone with a blunt item to knock his mask off, and then you have to have the axe to drive through his skull or something like that, a la, one of the movies.
At a certain time. Yeah, and what's crazy is Bikeman is doing some CSI sleuthing trying to figure this out. Here's what we know for sure. The devs have put in ways to kill Jason. They have said they're in the game. They have said that it can happen. They said in the last beta that was open, it happened 3 times.
Wow.
There's no way that didn't get shadow played and someone put it on Reddit.
Just saying, like, that's the thing. And who knows if that actually happened. Like, that could have happened in a dev server. Who knows? But they have said you can kill Jason, and they have said that it is not an easy thing. Like, you have to figure it out. Bikeman was trying all sorts of crazy things today, and but we haven't made any progress yet. He was like he was waiting for Jason to come to his house, and then he was trying to use the sweater in front of the mom and then axing him to death, and like, he was trying all sorts of crazy stuff. Also, apparently, a Jason at one point died on the dock, but it was the Jason that came from the water, and that happened like in a bug in a dev thing. So now people are like, is that where he's supposed to die? Is that the association? So there's all these like crazy ideas going around, but I have not seen anyone personally kill Jason yet, and I've not talked to someone who has seen him die.
It'll be interesting how that affects the strategy of the game. Like, if you can kill the water Jason at the water, then if you spawn in and you see the Jason, oh, it's the water Jason, it kind of emphasizes the fact that you should go for the boat because you might be able to set up the kill as well. So I wonder how that might affect people's strategies.
Here's the thing, though. The Jason that got drowned has a bunch of perks that make him super strong in the water.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's cool.
That's another kind of cool thing. Like, the different Jasons have kind of perks associated with what kind of Jason they were in those movies, and in some cases they play totally differently. It's almost like different monsters in Dead by Daylight, except there's like, what, 6 of them, 7 of them, Zeke? There's a bunch of different Jasons.
There's a lot, yeah.
And they've already
I'm not sure, but I remember like watching someone play, like spectating someone play Jason, and I played a completely different Jason, and the Jason I had, no jogging, he's just walking the whole way, and I was like, fuck, this sucked.
Yeah, that kind
but then he had like really cool like sneak up and get you moves, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Oh, so that was like an ambush Jason, like you sneak up and then pounce on someone or something.
Yeah, he had a very good like teleport and super quick, like, that whole old horror trope where the camera like goes along the ground real quick.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do. You go.
Huh.
Cool.
Well, I'm pretty excited to play this tonight. I just hope I can join one of the streamer click groups. Because if
I'll play with you, JP.
Well, we got to get 6 others, man. If we play public games, it'll just be. I feel like the fun gets diminished very quickly.
They're the devs actually set up a Discord.
Okay.
And they've been really proactive about getting streamers involved with the Discord, getting people in, and you can just basically go in there and say, I'm looking for a group, and like, you can find a streamer group pretty quick.
Cool. All right, I'll probably be doing that then. But yeah, we'll probably talk about. We're definitely, I think, still on the quote honeymoon period right now for the game, being that it just launched 5-6 hours ago, maybe at max. So we'll talk about it next week and probably have some more negative things to say, I would think.
Another little change, by the way, that actually is a very big deal, even though it seems small. In the beta, when you opened a drawer, it would always close. However, the player feedback was so much like, please leave empty stuff open, that they actually switched that. And the dev that I was talking to, a dev stopped by the stream and was chatting for a little bit. He actually said that he was one of the devs who was like, I didn't like it, but you guys wanted it, so we put it in that way. He thought maybe that it made a little bit more tension because you never knew if a place was searched or not. But I was actually all for the change because now you can just run in a house and be like, okay, this is looted. Let's go.
Okay.
So
maybe they could have a middle ground where you can open it and close it. So if you're in a rush, if Jason's banging the door down, you might just run in and leave stuff open. Whereas if you want to, you could have a middle ground where people can strategize about whether to open it or close it. So if Jason's coming and he wants to know if you're in a house and you hear him come in, you can open a drawer, nothing there, close it, and then hide. And he might glance in and go, all the doors are shut, or the drawers are shut. He might think you're not in there. So maybe just have both, and then it fixes both problems, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I assume they're going to continue to work on this and make updates and all that stuff. But Let's jump from one Kickstarter to another. Sacriel, you launched a Kickstarter on Monday. Why don't you give us the pitch? Salesman Sacriel. That's what we're calling it from now on.
Sales Reel 42.
Yeah, give us your pitch here for Breaking Point, and then we'll talk about it. You're at 60K right now, by the way, out of the 300K.
We're at 80, aren't we?
Maybe.
60 USD.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, we're at 80 Australian dollars because the company's registered in Australia, so dollary dues.
Yes.
There's an actual petition to get that renamed.
I saw that. I read it today. There's an actual petition to get Australian dollars to be dollary dues.
Well, I need to sign that.
Go through.
Is that online? Can I go sign that somewhere?
I don't even live there, but I want to do it.
So yeah, Sacriel, tell us about Breaking Point.
Sure. So Breaking Point was originally an Arma 3 mod made by a really talented team that did a lot of things that no other Arma 3 mod really did. There's lots of Arma 3 mods out there, Wasteland and a whole, Edict and a whole bunch that were kind of like different variations of DayZ to different degrees. But Breaking Point was one that me and a lot of my friends played a lot. It really brought some interesting angles in. So the Kickstarter is basically, we've already been in development for quite a long while now, and we've got to the point where we need that final push to be able to pay for the artists and engineers and everything to get a full functioning build out. And it's a survival first person sandbox PvP/PvE game. It's got an AI threat of the infected. But unlike a lot of the games that have infected, we are going to have a large variety of different infected types that act in different ways, that creep up on you from behind, or a bigger infected that can smash door downs if you're hiding in a house. So there's going to be a variety of them. But also one of its kind of key interesting points is that it has a faction system. So you can either play it as a kind of a civilian that has no faction orientation at all, and they can do whatever they want. They can shoot whoever they want. They can save whoever they want. They pick up whatever they want. They can fight however they like. But we also have a variety of factions that really differentiate the game from other games in this genre. So, for example, you could be a nomad, which is a class that doesn't really want to fight much. So they get lots of quests around the map from their nomad camp to go across the map and find certain rare NPCs, or go and collect an item from the other side of the map and bring it back. So it's kind of like you give people a reason to do things on the map. So the nomads go around, and if they bump into another nomad that's been shot by another player or wounded by an infected, they can go over and perform surgery on them and give them medical items, and that's how they earn reputation. But then on the other hand, you've got the hunters and the outlaws, which are kind of the PvP players, the kind of thing I would play, where you just want to kill everything and you want to earn your points by killing. But then in the middle ground, you've got a ranger class or faction where your rangers are out there trying to kill all the outlaws and outlaws and hunters, and they get points for also saving the nomads. So we have this and there's a few other classes that we can go into later. But the whole point of this is, every time you have a PvP experience in this game, you might bump into someone that can either hurt you, or is neutral to you, or wants to save you. And you're going to get a much more interesting flow of players around the map and different encounters. And it really leads to a completely different experience from the usual, like, anyone friendly in this town? Bang, shot in the head. Okay, back to the coast, respawn. Anyone friendly? Bang, shot. There's going to be people that are encouraged not to kill you, and there's going to be people that are encouraged to kill you, and there's going to be people that are encouraged to save you from being killed by the people that want to kill you. And with the flexibility of the Unreal Engine, you can really go ham on some of these features and make a much more interesting dynamic, which with a much more transparent and rapid iteration for development. So you can push out builds really quickly, and if people don't like what they're getting, you can very rapidly change that in a short period of time, as opposed to, oh, you don't like this? Okay, in 6 months, we're going to put out another build and we'll revoke that change. So yeah, that's the kind of the angle we're going for. But my key goal really is to make a game that I want to play, and I think everyone that likes this genre of games will like to play it. But we're also putting some Twitch integration into the game as well to differentiate it. So you will get more features in the game as a broadcaster and as an audience of a broadcaster because of in-game Twitch integration.
You can breathe now.
I'm really excited to see that.
I'm English. I breathe through my ears while I'm talking.
Okay. What is your role, so to speak, with like the day-to-day? Because obviously you're still going to continue broadcasting and whatnot, but what's your day-to-day role here on the game?
So my day-to-day role is like the lead gameplay mechanic designer. So I'm going to be deciding how much damage bullets do, how the bullets interact with body armor, how rare things spawn, how the different zombie AIs will be decided. how the dynamic loot system will spawn, what it spawns, how regularly it spawns. But on top of that, both me and Shannon are working as kind of streamer liaisons where we can approach people that are interested in the project and get them on board to work closely with us.
Now, can people go and play the, like, is Breaking Point the mod still available right now if people kind of want to get an idea of what the game's going to be? Okay.
Yep.
Would you say that's a good way for them to kind of see what it's going to be like, or are there enough changes to what you guys are planning to where the game's going to be completely different?
I wouldn't say the game's going to be completely different. If you want to get a taste for it, Breaking Point is a very popular mod on Arma 3. It has some really, really interesting PvP mechanics. For example, like it was the first mod where in Breaking Point mod on Arma 3, the zombies were reskins of the players. So it looked like a player, but hobbling along like a zombie. And as a player, this is the kind of innovation that these guys put into the mod, despite the kind of engine limitations that they were forced against. As a player, say you're in a town and you're being shot at, you can drop your gun, drop your bag, and then turn on walk like a zombie mode and walk out into the street like a zombie. And actually, you would just literally mix in with all the other zombies. So then the player has to have this like, oh, he might be a zombie. He might be pretending to be a zombie now. Do I kill all these zombies and make a lot of noise and draw attention? Or do I try and pick out which one he is? And there's an item in the game called duct tape, and you can bind people. Because one of our classes, I think it was a hunter, you get loads and loads and loads of progression points because as you play a faction, you level up from level 1, 2, and 3, and you get different perks and skills and stuff depending on how deep you are into that faction. If they shoot someone, they might get 100 points. But if they duct tape you, which is like handcuffing you, they can then gut you alive with a knife, and that takes like 30 seconds, and there's loads of time for other people to intervene. But if they get that kind of gutting animation off, they get loads of points for their progression because it's like, well done, you're a real asshole. So you could hobble around with the zombie. And like the zombies didn't, sometimes the zombies wouldn't aggro at quite close range. So you could hobble up to a guy who's sniping and then get the duct tape out and then just bind them and then stop being in zombie mode and be like, cool, I get to gut you now. So you could actually, there's these really interesting mind games that you could do. So, that's the kind of level of ingenuity and innovation they brought to the Arma 3 mod, despite the engine limitations. And we're just going to go, we're innovating like crazy on the Unreal version because we have so much flexibility within the engine.
Just a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The NPCs, the infected, whatever you're calling them,
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to play like a really big part, or are they just going to be a nuisance?
No, well, here's the thing. We have quite a variety. So we're going to have your standard run-of-the-mill zombies or infected that wander around in a town, and if they see you, they chase after you, and if they lose line of sight of you, then they stop and they reset. But we also are going to have very specialized infected that have a kind of a single-player level AI experience. So, for example, one of the ones that we're prototyping at the moment in Unreal is the infected will walk up towards you, and if you turn to face it, it will crouch down and stay still. So if you turn and face it, and it's just in your peripheral vision, but you haven't got your crosshair on it, it will stay still. So in tall grass or in a dark factory, you may not notice it, and then when you turn away, it's going to regain its ability to walk towards you. And when it keeps doing that, when it gets within a certain range, it's going to screech and grab hold of you. So like as a player, you might have your normal infected charging around, just doing their usual thing. But all the while, there's these specialized infected that are waiting to trick you or waiting to give you that experience where you're sat there sniping and this thing's sneaking up behind you and you like, is that a footstep? And you turn around and look and it's just stood there in the shadows, but not moving because you're looking at it, and you look away and it moves again. So the AI is there to give you being, like you said, be a nuisance. You're in a town looting, and they're going to come along and bang on the door and try and get to you. But at the same time, you're going to have these specialized ones that give you that kind of, whoa, I did not see that coming experience, that are going to keep you on your toes.
Zachary, how much do I have to pledge for that to be a king shit statue that just stalked people? What's the value there? Let's negotiate some here.
$900 it is.
$500. Okay. All right. I'll go collect my Monopoly money and get back to you. It sounds like we got a deal. I'm interested because you've been in this world before, and not the world of Breaking Point, but the world of making a game and fundraising for a game and all that stuff. What anything you want to say, I guess publicly, because there's probably stuff you would say privately as well in terms of how to run this, but any advice for Sacro or any comments on all this? Because this is a full-time job running a Kickstarter. I think it's a full-time job running a Patreon, so I can't even imagine what a Kickstarter is like.
Really, I mean, the good stuff is I really haven't needed to offer much. I mean, not only does the Breaking Point team have experience, they know what they're doing, but I mean, the Kickstarter was run well. They know exactly what they want from their product. They have the tools to make it. They've already done a successful mod in another game. So really, I mean, it's a really good place to kind of have all this around, and especially have Sacriel involved, because Sacriel brings all the good ideas. They've already proven they have all the coding and stuff. At the same time, the world needs an actually finished DayZ that's good. It's needed it since DayZ. We have yet to see it. We've just gotten a bunch of half-finished early access crap for the last 10 years, or 5 years, however long it's been. And we have not yet seen the next DayZ. So I'm really optimistic, since, you know, we've got a group with a proven track record. We've got somebody who has thousands of hours in DayZ kind of guiding them to a better place. It's a lot of right pieces. Now we just have to see it all kind of come together and go somewhere. So, and that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Okay, so just give you a for instance, or a hypothetical. You've made your money. You've hit your goal. You're good before the 30 days is up. Your project is funded.
When's Vegas trip?
When are we going to Vegas? Hookers and blow, all that kind of stuff. No. How do you roll it out?
Well, that's the interesting one. So we're at the stage at the moment in terms of the core code base that we've got and the designs that we've got fully implemented, where like several months ago I could jump on a server with, you know, a whole bunch of other people. We've tested up to, I think, 75 players on a server. And I can run around and I can shoot and I can put a suppressor on my gun. I can put a scope on the gun. I can look through the scope. I can walk up to a wolf and tame it. I can give the wolf an instruction to go and find the nearest player, and it will run off and find the nearest player and bark at them. And if they shoot the wolf, it'll attack them. And if the wolf gets hurt, it will come back to me. Like, we're at the point where we've got all these core features, and we could very easily add a cheeky pledge goal to the Kickstarter to say, hey, you know, it's $30 to get in, or US dollars, but maybe for 50 you can play the game in 2 months. We could very, very easily do that. But we have seen a slew of games do that, and with the best intentions, you always end up with a subpar product where people play it and they go, okay, that was super cool. You know, there's these 5 things that I did in my few hours I played this that was super cool, but the FPS was a bit weird and the netcode was a bit weird, and I had that weird crash whenever I threw a flare, and those kind of things. So we're going for like a Q1 2018 launch, where we want the launch from day one to be, you play it, and when you finish playing it, you go to bed thinking about it, and you go to work the next day, and you get home, you're like, right, I want to play it. We don't want one of those launches where it's like, okay, yeah, the trailer looks cool, and I trust Sacriel and this and that, the other, and you play it for a few hours, and you're like, I get the point. This will probably be good in a year. But then the problem is 6 months later, we push out, hey, look at this new update, da-da-da-da-da. And people think, the last time I played it, you did that update. You know, there's a few issues here and there. Yeah. So we're completely avoiding early access, even though we completely have the ability to do it.
Or the worst, man, is when products in early access start selling paid DLC before they're done.
Before they're even done, yeah. No.
I had that point last week, and this is completely off topic, but I'm so glad that you're not going to ship a broken game or a game that's not done, because I'm so tired of playing games. They're just fucking buggy pieces of shit. Yep. And that's basically like 80% of what streamers play these days.
And exactly. And because there's a disclaimer on Steam. Yeah, and because there's a disclaimer on Steam, like we've got the Steam set up and everything already, but because there's a disclaimer, it's like, this is buggy shit. People are like, okay, and they'll buy it, and you get the money, but you know, here's the difference. I would rather get half the money and get a fan than get $30 off someone and get an enemy. And we're going with that ethos for this game. We could very easily I could boot up a build right now and stream it and run around and shoot zombies and chase wolves and fight bears and loot things. But I don't want.
But we've already played Ark, so.
Poop everywhere. Exactly. But we don't want to push out that kind of early experience, and we want to build our true vision and get it to a point where people play it for the first time, or people stream it for the first time, and they think about it for the rest of the day. And then the next day they come back and they're like, okay, you know, I was at the airfield and I was a nomad and I was picking up that briefcase from the dead military police zombie. That's my quest. And then I got sniped at by some dude. And then I got my radio out and I called a ranger, and he came and he killed the dude. And the ranger gave me meds, and that gave us both points. And we went on back. And I want people to be just full of these amazing experiences, rather than, you know, I walked up some stairs, I died, I respawned inside a tree, I had to call an admin to kill me. You know, we don't want anything like that. And we're going for a really, and the other angle is, I'm a very public-facing person, right? I'm not stopping streaming with this. So if I put out a product where there's all sorts of problems, imagine what my chat would look like when I'm streaming another game and not playing my own game, and then people are like, "Your game doesn't work." Like, it's definitely a massive show of faith in the project based on the builds I've played and the guys in the team, that I'm putting my name to this and being like, "Hey, I want to build the greatest game in this genre for me to play and for everyone to play." And then with the Twitch integrations on top, we're going to bring Twitch communities and broadcasters in together as well. I think there's some really innovative stuff that we're doing if we get the chance to.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
you were talking
Aurelian's glitter house that you got to put in, because she put however much money. That's going to be great.
That's right. I think she said she wants Boo's Candy Store.
Yeah.
In the game. And
trust me, she's already got a document and set up, and I've read through it. You're gonna have a. Whew, that's gonna become the hot spot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What were we gonna say, Zeke? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
When you were talking about classes, for someone like me who is not super skilled at stuff, there is a role for me to fill, because I've used that term ever since I found that I can actually play games if they have specific roles. Like I don't aim and shoot very well. I'm not very sneaky. Mm-hmm. And you said, could you talk a little bit more about like the other classes, like?
Well, one of the classes that you might want to play then is the Nomad. So the Nomad is the class that basically says, the Nomad is a faction that says we just want to survive and get on with life. And the Nomad class is going to have a variety of different quests. So say for example, you log in as a civilian, you go to the Nomad camp, you speak to the Nomad NPC, like, I'd like to sign up as a Nomad, your clothes change, you look different. And then that instead of you being like, right, what do I do now? In most survival games, you wander off into the wilderness, you accidentally bump into a place that you didn't realize was a PvP zone, and you get shot in the head. Whereas in this game, you'll be able to go to an NPC and they'll be able to say, hey, do you want an easy quest, a medium quest, or a hard quest? And you might select easy quest, and it's like, okay, 2 kilometers to the north, there's a mill, and there's a problem with the water wheel. Go and fix it with this repair kit. So that gives you a reason to go and do something. But along the way, you might get shot at by other players, and that gives you that PvP thrill of like, oh, Jesus, that's real people. Oh, they're trying to kill me. And you might escape and just run away, and that's your excitement, and you get a thrill from escaping. Or that PvP encounter that you caused on the way to the mill draws the attention of someone else, like Co, for example, that might be playing a ranger, and a ranger's job is to kill outlaws and save nomads like you. So he might come along, kill the guy killing you, and then you say to him, hey, I was just going to the mill to get to do a quest, and Co might be like, cool, let's party up. And then in game, you shake hands and you can see each other through the walls and stuff, like you can see Co's name. And then you go off, and now you've got a buddy to play with. And that buddy might be better at shooting than you, but you're another set of eyes that looks for enemies. You're a guy that can apply medicine stuff to him if he gets knocked out.
Can you tag enemies for other people in your squad?
You can't tag enemies per se, no. So you can't see someone, and it's not like Battlefield where you see someone and say like tag, and then Zeke could see him, but you could very much
awesome for a spot.
You could very much say like, Zeke, I saw a sniper scope glint in the bell tower down there. I think it's a sniper, but he's aiming at me. So Zeke, run over to the next piece of cover, and then Zeke runs, and then you stand up and take that guy out, and then you get on with your day. But there's loads of different mechanics with the faction system that encourage you to bump into different people. And then we have a radio system as well. So Zeke, if it wasn't Co and you didn't know him, you might have found a couple of radios, and you bump into a ranger, and you're like, excuse me, could you take this radio? I'm just going to the mill down the road. If I get in trouble, I'll radio you. And then when you're down range, down the road, and you get shot at, you can be like, there's a guy shooting at me. And that ranger's going to be doing his own stuff, and he hears someone's shooting at me, and he's like, okay, I'm on my way. And then he comes and finds you, and you might make a friend, you might add each other on Steam, or you might never see him again. But you get this really interesting maelstrom of like good versus evil in the factions, and you all get different points for doing different things. So there's definitely a place for people that aren't confident at PvP, but they want to be in that survival world. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that play DayZ that go into it going, I'm not super good at sniping, I don't know the routes around the map, this, that, the other. But when I'm running around and someone shoots at me, my heart pounds, and I get such a thrill out of it. And if I get to shoot back at them, I might kill them, or if I run away, I feel accomplished at running away. We have a whole variety of factions that kind of encompass all those play styles, so that you always have a place to feel like you have an objective.
Cool. Can I pay to make it a fist bump instead of a handshake?
That's $900. That's $1,200 it is.
Fuck, man, this is getting pricey.
You got to buy it.
I'm just saying a fist bump is
just before anyone else says it, if you do end up backing this project, and at the end of the project, you may very well get some email, and the email might have a survey And if you do get that survey and you ask, where did I hear that? Tell them Zeke sent you.
Damn it. I was
Son of a
Zeke.
bitch.
I was literally Zeke. I'm not even kidding you. It took me like 10 seconds. And then right when you got to tell him, and I was like reaching for the mute button, and you got to Zeke too quick.
Shut up.
You fucking got to Zeke
If
too
you would have
quick.
done that, I would have been right there to be like, tell him Code sent you.
Should I maybe cover the way we're working with streamers? Like, I'm sure some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
in
totally.
chat are like, what?
Totally.
So basically, at the end of the Kickstarter, if it's successfully funded, you will receive, anybody that backs the game will receive an email. And that email's like, hey, thanks for supporting the project. Here's some videos about some of the features in it. And there'll be a section at the bottom that says, like, do you represent a streaming community? And in that list is going to be a list of all the streamers that we partner with and work with. And what happens is, for each person that clicks each community, so, you know, we might get hundreds of people for Co, hundreds of people for Zeke, hundreds of people for JP. The more people from our Kickstarter base that are represented in a streamer community, the more rewards we put in game for that streamer and their community. And those are things like, we have a spray paint tech in the game where you have a spray paint and you can select it and change the design from like skull and crossbone, or you could write Kappa on the wall or whatever. So say you kill a dude, you might write Kappa on the wall. It's just a bit of a joke. But like, we could put in your favorite streamer's logo, and then when you take over the airfield or you get your first car, you can spray their logo on the hood or whatever. And these benefits lead all the way up to your streamer having their own building custom designed in the game. So like JP was joking about, Erin or Alien has got her own building in the game because she pledged at that level. And she can literally design a building, and our artist will put it in there. And then, you know, JP might be playing the game one day and he's having a firefight and he runs into a house or a building to escape. And he's like, wait a minute, this is my girlfriend's candy store in an apocalypse game.
Yeah, I'm going to bomb the fucking building and walk out.
Yeah. So we're really working closely with the broadcasters to be like, hey, we know you mean a lot to the future of the games you play. Let us represent you and immortalize you and your community in the game. And we're going to add things like clothing patches, so you could have a Zeke like a logo in there. Like Zeke could have his own building, and there might be like a melee store, like a melee weapon store with helmets and axes.
I'm going to be
stuff.
honest. When you talked to me about this, you said only verified people on Twitter would be able to have access to this thing. And Zeke's not verified, so.
Zeke. Okay.
Sakura, should we even be talking about this stuff around him?
He's not. Can we mute him? Can we just?
We could, but I feel bad for the guy now.
Quick also, I don't think actually, if you're not verified, people can't actually recommend you. So just a quick heads up, chat. You don't put Zeke as recommendation. He's not going to get anything.
Fuck y'all. Fuck this. Fuck everything. You know what? I don't need you guys.
All right, he doesn't need us. We're moving on. Anyways.
To be fair, those feels when Shannon's verified and I'm not. So I'm.
Oh, you're not verified either?
No.
You have British cred though.
Wow.
That's basically the same thing.
I've messaged him like 10 times.
Wait a minute. I heard that.
Yeah, he's not verified, Zeke.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Let's fist bump on the little camera
Man,
thing.
we've surrounded ourselves with fucking plebs today, Co. What are we fucking doing?
The show's really kind of been going downhill. lately,
I know,
JP.
fucking Christ.
So it's ever since the new graphics, dude. It's just all.
I
been
know.
downhill.
It's never gonna be what it once was. It's never gonna be what it once was. Yeah, sad times. Sad times. I saw.
We peaked, JP. We peaked.
We have. Why do you have a cigar?
It's whenever I win in PUBG, I have a finger of whiskey, a smoking jacket, and a cigar.
Okay.
Wow.
I just
Hey,
looked
it
over to the
happens
camera and I
frequently.
see
We
you
gotta
randomly
celebrate.
pulled a cigar out. I'm like, what?
It was just so nonchalant as well, just like pop, like it was nothing.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we're a prop show now. I don't know what's happening.
Now, y'all listen here.
Yeah.
I have business stuff to talk about.
I like how you go slightly
Important
Texan
stuff.
too.
It does go Texan, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets a little southern. I like it. One of the other things, and then I do want to move on after this. One of the other things in chat that they were saying is why Kickstarter? There's obviously a lot of different ways to kind of enter into the world of fan. What am I trying to say here? In kickstarting games, whatever that's called, fan funding a game.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding. There you go. God. What was Kickstarter? What drew you to Kickstarter?
That was the rest of the team's decision. Actually, I didn't really have too much input on which crowdfunding site we used, and we already are on Steam, so we could very easily just be like, boom, I email out, I could tweet out or stream or whatever, and say, hey, you know, my game's on Steam, go get it now, and we could go straight into early access builds and just have people to fund the project that way. But Kickstarter, you know, it's the home of some of the greatest successful, like you said with Friday the 13th, that was kickstarted, right?
Yep.
You know, some of the most successful crowdfunded games around came from Kickstarter. So, but I didn't really have too much of a say in that side of things. That was more of a team decision.
Well, there you go. Hope that answers questions. Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this. So basically, the next 28 days of your life are pretty much a stress hell, right? Trying to get this.
Yeah, more or less. More or less, yeah.
Well, just saying, as someone who's been through 2 Kickstarters, his percentages are good right now. They're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're a lot better than many.
Yeah,
Let's say
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Throughout the life of the Kickstarter, we're going to be releasing gameplay videos and feature videos talking about some of the innovative tech we've got. So one of the most important ones, I think, is most people look at me and think try hard PvP asshole. Most people just think asshole. Let's face it. But one of the things we're going with is we are also going to have roleplay servers, and we currently have a basic roleplay suite. Yeah. Oh, Zeke, you're going to go crazy when you hear this. So what I've noticed is if you look at other survival games that have role players, you kind of have a couple of people walking around in a field and they're like, hey, what's your name? It's like, my name's Mike. I'm looking for my wife. What's your name? My name's Dave. I'm looking for my brother. And then they just play that game organically. They just go around, they shoot zombies, they loot, and then they go, found your wife? No, obviously she's not in this game. Found your brother? No, obviously he's not in this game. So we want to address that by having a roleplay suite. Now, we have the fundamental features in at the moment of like a spectator cam where you can have like a DM, kind of like in a Dungeons and Dragons session. A DM can fly around it as a camera and listen to the in-game VoIP. And if someone says like, hey, I'm looking for my wife, what we're working on in the Unreal Engine is the ability for that DM to basically go somewhere and click on the floor and go spawn zombie female model 6. Click on that female model and say edit inventory, add letter. Then click on that letter, edit letter, and type, dear Mike, I heard gunshots at the airfield. I'm going there to look for help. If you find this, I love you. And now that person's storyline is in the game. And whether that guy kills that female zombie and goes, oh, I'm Mike, or whether another guy kills that zombie and finds this letter and then goes, Mike, oh, Mike, like Mike down at the, mechanics yard or whatever. And they go down there. Does anyone see Mike? Hey, I found this. It might be for you. So these DMs will be able to literally sculpt a story around each person. They can spawn in zombie hordes. They can change the weather. They could cause a power cut in a town. So you might have 10 people in the town, and the DM might be able to go to the town and say, turn off all the lights, spawn a zombie horde, and actually dynamically cause storyline events that these streamers then are like, whoa, I've actually been fed things to work with, as opposed to just walking around going like, I'm looking for my wife, kill some zombies, find a gun. I'm looking for my wife, kill some zombies, find another gun, find a hat. It will be, I found a key to that building, to my house, and in his house is a female zombie. And the DM, one of the great things about the Unreal Engine is you can do pawn control. So a DM could potentially, this is the tech that it's in its infancy in terms of our design, but it's within our grasp if we're able to produce a full game. The DM will be able to click on the zombie and control it, and then walk around and then not attack. Like if he was role playing the zombie's wife, the wife zombie of the guy, then it could stand there and he can click and change animations and make it drop to its knees and all this kind of things. If you imagine when you take talented role players like the Twitch RP guys, or Eli and Timac and Strippin and Wish and Katie Rue and all these fantastic role play streamers, instead of them being constrained by like, hey, I'm looking for my wife, and then just play a normal game, a DM and multiple DMs on the same server will be able to actually affect the storyline around them, spawn in things, change weather. We really think that's a super innovative approach for roleplay that is kind of surprising that me as a PvP kind of guy would think this stuff up. But I watch a lot of roleplay and I enjoy it a great deal, but I can just see how linear it is. Yeah. And we want to kind of freshen that up and bring an innovative approach to roleplay.
Yeah, I think that the rise of GTA RP on Twitch is going to influence a lot of games in the next couple of years to come out, because if you go look on Steam, that game is, although it's never been too low in the selling list, it's spiked up once again because of this huge influx of RP that occurred in the past month or two. So it's definitely helping the longevity of that game for sure. So I bet you'll see that in a lot of other games as well. But cool. We wish you all the luck. We hope you stay sane over the next 28
one
days.
oh
no, by all means.
One more thing. Someone in chat mentioned it, and I know it it can be important to a lot of people, and I know it's important to you, Sacriel. What are you doing with anti-cheating?
Oh, so there's this really cool thing that we have in the game, and this isn't a we want to, this is a we have, and it's kind of insane. Whenever you're playing the game, you have like a network bubble around you of 2 kilometers, and everything inside that 2 kilometers is permanently recorded to your game. So like, say you die and you're like, that seems suspicious. You can actually, the recording is 30-second delayed encrypted. So that means if you die, you can't immediately watch it back and then figure out where the guy was and then say to your teammates, hey, he was in the sniper tower. So, but after 30 minutes, you can go back and watch anything that's happened to you in your timeline of that session, including deaths and kills. They'll be flagged on the timeline as markers. So you can see, okay, I died here, I killed a guy here, I died here. When you go in our replay system, it's not just a replay like shadow play, like from your perspective. You are floating around within the world, and you can see yourself, you can see the guy that killed you, you can click on him and go through his field of view and see exactly what he did. You can see his inventory. So if you ever have a suspicious death, instead of it being like, that seemed like a really good shot or cheating, you can literally go inside that guy's perspective. And if he's just walking along and then he does a 180 and one-shots you in the head from 300 meters with a pistol, you can be like, that's a cheater. And you can report it from the timeline, and it will send an excerpt of that timeline to us, and we can look at it and go, yes, this guy's cheating. But on top of that, we obviously have, we're working with Valve with VAC bans, and we're going to have some in-house stuff as well. The lead developer on the game already has a very good track record with his other projects with anti-cheat. He knows how to cover his bases in Unreal. The other thing is about those replays. So someone in chat said, what if someone fakes the replay? The replays are also, the server logs everything all the time. So if we ever got a replay and thought that looks suspicious, we could cross-reference it against our own servers. Or if you have your own server, you could go to your global server recording, and we could verify the integrity of a replay. But on top of that, we do have, that's not what we're relying on. That's just an additional feature. But if you think about it for content creators, if you get a sprinting 800-meter headshot, and you're like, what a shot, you can go back and watch that bullet fly through the air. You can pause time, rewind time, accelerate time, see it from his perspective, your perspective, from a floating camera. So not only is that tool great for anti-stream sniping and cheat detection, but also it's a great content creation tool, because you can have an awesome squad fight and then watch it back from everyone's perspective, or from no one's perspective, but from a camera with an X-ray vision, so you can see people through walls, like a CS tournament replay. Like, there's a load of flexibility in that replay system. And at the moment, we've got that system working on live servers with 100 people recording, so 100 clients on that server all running around, and we can just sit there and watch it and zoom forward and back in time. So yeah, I've spent so long. A lot of games that I used to love, like Crysis and basically most FPSs I play, once I start to run into consistent cheating, I stop streaming that game, because I feel powerless. So we want to absolutely stomp out the ability for people to cheat and give the power to the player to detect it themselves. But also we have a lot of in-house stuff that can detect. We're also server authoritative. So unlike a lot of games where there is client authoritative, and if that client says, hey, I just killed this person, the server says, okay, you're dead then. Our game is going to be server authoritative. So what will happen is you shoot a gun, and instead of your client saying, I shot my gun and it hit him on my client, I'll tell the server he's dead. You shoot your gun, and our server simulates a bullet, and our server determines whether or not it hit the guy, and we'll tell him he's dead if he is. So we also aren't going to run into the same kind of memory editing issues that you get in games like Arma 2 and 3, where it's kind of a mixture of client and server authoritative, where there are lots of doors where you can kind of fudge updates to the server and cause problems for the players.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Coney, any final comments, questions for you?
No, man. I'm just super excited. I can't wait to follow this project, and I really like the lack of early access. I think that's going to speak really highly to the entire thing. And I really can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, we just hit 20% funded, and in 3 days, so we're happy with it.
Nice.
One final thing: is the back end of the game like pretty much done at this point? Like, have you guys decided on all the classes, decided on all the perks? And if you can't talk about this, that's fine. But
well, I wouldn't say we've decided on all the perks. Like, we know what the classes are, we know their fundamental stylistic choices, and then obviously when we get to the point where we're literally adding the code for perks, we're going to be tweaking those back and forth. One cool thing about the game is, say you choose to be a ranger and you get the ranger perks, you can go to the outlaw base, and then when you're in anyone's base, it's like a no shooting zone, and you can get a traitor quest from them, and that traitor quest is going to be really difficult, and then it flags you as a traitor, which means you visually look different to a normal ranger. You've got no ranger cap on, your face is bloodied, your clothes are a different color. So at an immediate glance, people go, whoa, that's a traitor level ranger, and everyone in the game is encouraged to kill traitors. So it's very difficult. But should you achieve that goal, you will learn the perk of that other faction. So you could be a ranger. So for example, our survivalist class, which is like a class that's kind of like the name would suggest, a survivalist, they have a ghillie suit. They start off with like a scout clothing, and then the level 2 survivalist has like a ghillie suit, and level 3 has this really cool ghillie suit. And their custom perk is that they can walk up to any kind of tree or bush and take foliage from it, and it adds literally the geometry of that foliage onto their player model. So if you're in hay field, you can put hay on your ghillie suit, and then when you go prone, you're really hard to see. That's a really attractive perk. But you could get that as a ranger by going to the survivalist camp and taking a traitor class. And while you're flagged as a traitor, which means everyone wants to kill you, you achieve that goal, which might be go to a PvP hub and put fuel in a generator and boot up a radar station or something like that and get back without dying. But then you earn that perk. So you actually get these really interesting challenges for the way the perks work. But anyway, yeah, so almost everything in the game in terms of like factions, perks, weapons, the way the dynamic loot's going to work, the way the dynamic map's going to work, all those things are kind of written in stone. But obviously, as we're developing in Unreal, if we come up with some interesting choices, one of the cool, transparent ways we're going to develop is I will develop it live on my stream. So I'll have the Unreal editor up, and I'm like, hey guys, we're looking at bullet penetration. There's a couple of ways we can do it. Let's try this way. And I load up the build and I play it and I show people what it's like. And then I try the other builds and show people what it's like. And then we take the feedback from chat live. And then we take, instead of being like, here's bullet penetration, and people are like, it's shit. It's here's a few versions of it, and we can literally do it live on stream and show you the different benefits and costs and stuff. So some of the stuff's flexible, but a lot of the core design is absolutely like pre-planned and written out.
Awesome.
Cool.
There was one cool thing that I think I would really, really enjoy doing, especially RPing, would be a field surgeon or something like that.
We have surgery in the game.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to talk about that a little bit.
So the game has quite a detailed medical system, and depending on the type of round you've been hit with, and the where it hit you and what armor you had and what the range they hit you with, these all affect the way the damage works. So you could, for example, I think one of the current written in perks for a high level ranger is that they spawn with a field surgery kit on them. So whenever you spawn, so once you've achieved level 3 ranger, you've got it. Even if you die, you respawn, you're a level 3 ranger, if you choose to be ranger that time. And you can actually spawn in. So it's perfect for you then, Zeke. You could be a ranger, you spawn in at level 3 ranger, you have a full medical kit off the bat. And then you'll be going around, and when someone's dead, you'll be able to do like an analysis of their body on the floor and be like, okay, I've established you've been shot here, here, and here. And you have to use your medical knowledge. I mean, you can just do a rudimentary job and just go, okay, bandage that, bandage that, bandage that, have some morphine, they'll be fine. But if you want to take the time to learn the more efficient ways of using the surgery kit, you can actually do surgery on them and fix things in a much more timely manner. So we do have a kind of a deep medical system where we don't want it to be too complicated, where people go, I've been shot, I don't know which artery this is, I'm going to bleed out. Like, you can just go bandage, stim, eat some food, you'll be fine. But if you're that kind of person that's like, hey, actually, you've taken this kind of injury, I've got this drug, bam, give them the specific drug for that kind of injury, or perform surgery on them and do well in it, because it's kind of like a mini in-game thing. Kind of similar to, in Dead by Daylight, you can kind of fix generators and you get those little skill checks. It has some kind of a semblance to that, but for surgery. Okay. So you can perform surgery, and the better you are at it, the better effect the person will get. But even if you fail every check, you will still heal them. They'll just won't be as healed as they would if you'd done better. So you could literally role play or just functionally PvP play a surgeon in the game.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Just real quick before we stop, because someone asked me in chat, and I wasn't totally clear on this. Player building, is that something in this game?
It is, yeah. So at the moment, we obviously, with us being on the Unreal Engine, we have the ability to do the usual Rust, life is feudal, kind of block-based, build a wall, build a wall, build a wall, build a door. It's metal. It takes a bomb to get through stuff. As far as I understand it, it's not my strength of knowledge because it's not part of the design that I've been involved with yet. As far as I understand it, at the moment, we have the same kind of base building as is in the Breaking Point mod, which was very, very innovative. So what you do is in Breaking Point mod in Arma 3, which you can go and play now, you can basically reinforce a door to a building and make it into your base. And then when you're inside the building, you can build chests and stuff and put gear in them. But here's a really brief example of how innovative our guys are. in Arma 3, there's lots of ways to glitch out like geometry and stuff. So we found that the guys found that people would find glitchy ways to clip into a building and get inside and loot your crate. So what they did was they said, if our door is locked and the door is the only real way you should be able to get in the game, into the base, we despawn everything inside it so that if people glitch into it, there's nothing to raid. But if they smash that door through with C4, everything that was inside spawns and then you can loot it. So that's a real clear example of how innovative they are. They think these things through. For example, our replay system that I told you about, where you can float around with a camera. Well, what if you use that to find someone's secret stash in base? Well, the replay system occludes those assets from the replay. So you might fly the camera straight past someone's base, but the camera is blind to them, so you can't actually see them. You can only use it to see people and zombies or infected and bullets and loot on the floor. You can't use that camera to like clip through a wall and be like, oh, someone's got a base in there, and then you go back and raid it. It actually is blind to that. So this is the level these guys think at. They're already thinking 2 steps ahead of like what you can abuse the features to make a bad gameplay experience.
Man, okay. Now, I just want to say something. Like, this seems really ambitious.
You should see how powerful the engine is.
Okay. I'm just saying this seems super ambitious, and you're saying a lot of things. Like,
yeah,
that's a lot of shit you just said. You said a huge mouthful of stuff, and
bear in mind what I just told you about the base system is already in Arma 3 version of the mod. An Arma 3 version of the mod is like coding with spaghetti. So even in one of the hardest engines to mod, the feature about base building is already in the game. Now imagine we put it in Unreal, where you can work literally 100 times more efficiently than these kind of custom mod engines like the Bohemia engines. The level of flexibility is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So throughout the Kickstarter, we're going to be making live gameplay videos of like, hey, here's our replay system, and it will literally be a live video of us running around on a server doing stuff and then watching the replay back. So when it sounds ambitious, we'll be able to literally show you the core feature, and it's not going to be a demonstration of it. It's actually, here's the feature. So yeah, a lot of people, that's the kind of a problem that these other games have set a precedent where, for example, if we look at a game like DayZ, they just had a new patch today. The last time they had a patch, a big patch, was 6 months ago. This new patch changes the grass and trees. 6 months. But when you talk about the Unreal Engine, in 6 months, you could make half a game. So some of these things might seem like, wow, that's really ambitious. In the Unreal Engine, with a talented coder, these aren't actually that ambitious. You can do very, very powerful things with and iterate on them really quickly.
Okay. Cool. See, and that's why I wanted to ask, because I'm not a coder. I don't know how much it takes. It just seems like
absolutely
when you're talking about the intricate way that you can do surgery, or talking about not spawning things inside of a building until the door is kicked down. It just seems like you've named like many things that would take, in my head, like eons to code.
It seems like that, but like I say, a lot of survival games use the bare bones of the engines to achieve their goals as quickly as possible, and then once they've kind of dug themselves into that pit, when they try and do really innovative things, it takes a long time. Yeah. Whereas from the ground up, we're using the full toolkit available to us with the Unreal Engine. And like I say, for example, with the kicking down the doors and things spawn, that's already in the mod, and the mod is in an engine which is notoriously hard to code for. So rebuilding what we have in the mod in Unreal is going to take a couple of months, and then adding all the actual innovative stuff is where we need to use the full breadth of tools that we have available to us. So it might seem ambitious, but the vast majority of things I've said today are already in the game. If not, they're things where we've already got working prototypes, and it's just a case of we need the artist to make the art for it. We need, to polish a few things here and there.
Yeah. Zeke, to put it in perspective real quick, the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is UE4, and the reason they're able to patch that game as much as they've been doing over the past couple of months and iterate on that, the patch that comes out tomorrow, is UE4. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, they have people that understand
it's the same engine as Battlegrounds.
Yeah, that system, and can implement things much faster, just like Sacriel was saying. Cool, what we're going to say, and then we'll take a break.
So to kind of wrap up the discussion here, Sacriel, let's say a lot of people are not in a position where they have any funds to contribute to the Kickstarter, so they won't be getting the backer emails. If they are very interested in the project and want to keep up with it as best as they can, how do they follow the project? And are you personally going to be kind of interfacing as a PR person? Are you going to be doing like update streams and breaking point streams? Like how's all that going to work?
Yeah, so first of all, we're going to be, for the duration of the Kickstarter, there's going to be a 30 minute to 1 hour segment at the end of my stream where we sit there and we answer questions and we talk about things.
Every stream?
We're not sure about every stream. It might be every other stream. We're not sure at the moment, but it will be, I will tweet out my schedule and it will include those kind of periods. If you go to playbreakingpoint.com, you can sign up for an email there. So as we, for example, start to reveal different gameplay videos, we'll be able to email that to the people that are interested and be like, hey, remember you were interested in our game? Here's a video of our replay system or the roleplay tools, or here's a video of our ballistics. On top of that, if the Kickstarter is funded, both myself and Deathly will be streaming the development of the game on our Twitch channels. So I will tweet out like, hey, this Wednesday, we're going to look at how bullets go through walls. And then, the whole stream might be a 6 or 8 hour stream just in the Unreal Engine where we're just testing out mechanics and designing them. So playbreakingpoint.com, where you can sign up for emails, playbreakingpointg on Twitter, the G for game. So, Breaking Point G on Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, where we update and tweet out screenshots of in-engine and in-game stuff. And if you follow me on Twitter and Twitch, I will be routinely talking about the project for the remainder of the month. And then if it's successfully kickstarted, there'll be a scheduled slot where we continue to talk about the game in great detail.
Great. And if we're a backer, we'll get all this information in the normal Kickstarter emails?
Yeah, in the Kickstarter emails, yeah. And every single backer, regardless of where they came from, will be asked which streamer they want to represent. And those rewards will kick through to that streamer and their community.
Cool stuff. All right, there you go. Go check it out, guys, if you want to learn more information. Head over to the Kickstarter. They got a lot of reading there. They even have, like I mentioned at the start of this, if you just now joined, a full breakout of where all the money is going. If you're curious,
yep.
That's always good to see when that plan has already been made. You don't have to wait for it or anything like that. So we're due for a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Destiny 2 because that was released last Thursday. I think we'll be the last people on Earth to talk about it. And then Twitch decided to throw out some new information regarding some interactive features for Twitch streams that just went live about 5 minutes ago on their blog. So we'll talk about that and more right after this. We'll see you guys after the break.